go, in focus. So today is the day, guys. Today is the day. Today is March 5th, and I talked about this a couple days ago. This is the day that we start the summer shredding program by Christian Guzman. I will put a link in the description where you can watch the video that he just put up today that explains the whole challenge and how you can enter, and it doesn't cost you any money, but you can actually win some cool stuff. But the point is it's basically 90 days to set some goals and end up right at basically summertime. So Atua and I are gonna do this, and we're gonna try to get in the best shape that we've ever been into. And I want any of you guys to join us. Just pick some goals. It's time to set some goals and take some action, and that is the theme of today's video, is taking action. So there's three things I want to talk about. That was the first one. The second thing is, we talked about Atua's drone went into the ocean a couple days ago, or was that yesterday? We lost his drone. We looked everywhere. We couldn't find it. It is at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. However, the last flight that the drone did take, we haven't used that footage yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that last drone footage, her Bon Voyage footage, and then I'm going to tell you guys a story. And this is a story that goes in line with what I'm talking about, which is basically taking action. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to the drone footage and get myself into narration mode, and I will see you guys, or actually you will hear me. 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, so here we are, voiceover and story time. So this footage that you're seeing right here is actually the day before the drone got crashed into the ocean. So this was the last footage that Atua took from his drone. This is the last surfing clip that he took, and we believe this person surfing here, this kid, is a kid by the name of Killian, a ripper from our neck of the woods. He's all over YouTube. You can look him up, from Santa Teresa, I believe. Anyhow, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into this story now, and after this wave it just goes into pure drone footage. So for those of you that did not see the last video where I did a storytelling, I talked about kind of the progression of how we ended up in Costa Rica from Hawaii, all the way back from my childhood. But what I didn't talk about, and what I left out, which is probably in my mind the most key important thing, is the mindset that it took to pull that trigger, to basically just go boom, we're gonna do it. So let me take you back to where that happened. So we were in Las Vegas, and we had made the decision that we're out of here. We're gonna leave Las Vegas, and we're gonna just find a way to move to Costa Rica and embark on an amazing adventure. The problem was, we had a company, a business with a partner that required us to work and be involved in. We had a 2,500 square foot house that we were making payments on. We had Atua, who was only about 2.5, 3 years old, and Keely girl, who was just a tiny little baby, like 3 months old. Not even, actually I take that back, she wasn't born yet, but she was going to be born soon. And we had 2 dogs, a boat, 2 SUVs that we were making car payments on. And everybody in our life was telling us, you're crazy. They were saying, what are you gonna do? Because at the time the real estate in Las Vegas was still going up. So they were like, well, why don't you just hang out another year or two, work your business, save up some more money? Because then you could, you can do it better. You'll have more money, you can save up, and you can think about it. But the way we looked at it was, the way I looked at it was, it was enough. We had enough, and why wait? So it was kind of a bit of a puzzle. I sat there and I thought, well, how do I figure all this out? I mean, how do I compress all this? We had a house full of stuff that we had acquired over about 7 years. And what I did is I sat down and I just kind of started writing dates down, and I came up with basically a deadline. And I had to be a bit of a kind of a warden or a dictator. I basically said, this is what we're going to do. I said, exactly 1 year from now, we're gonna move. That means we have to sell the house, we have to sell the boat, we have to get rid of our SUVs, and we have to get rid of the majority of the stuff that we had acquired in our house. And we had to figure out a way to get out of our company, our business. And so that's what we did. So over a 1 year period, I kept repeating it over and over and over. And I kept saying, okay, 10 more months, 8 more months, 7 more months. Now here's the thing, is even though I set this deadline about a year earlier, it didn't really get serious until there was about 3 or 4 months left to the deadline, because that's when you start to realize, oh my God, we're almost there. And I just started going crazy. I started eBaying everything that we had that I could sell on eBay. We were listing it and selling it. We did 2 garage sales. I had a Chevy Silverado full-size truck. I took 11 truckloads of stuff to Salvation Army and dropped it off. I can't even remember what it was. That's the amazing thing about when you minimalize is, it's hard to let go of stuff, but when you do, and you look back a week or 2 or a month later, you almost can't remember what it was. It's like, what filled up 11 truckloads? And then on top of that, I was just giving stuff away. I was giving furniture away to my sister. And when we got close to the date, I gave my Chevy Silverado to my sister. She gave me like a few $100, and it was probably worth maybe $10,000 at the time. And I just gave it to her, and I said, here, sis, I hope this helps you out. So then the dilemma was the house and the business. Those were the kind of like the last 2 things that we had to figure out. So we ended up doing for sale by owner. And the crazy thing is we literally handed the keys over 1 day before our airplane ticket was basically to go to Costa Rica. 1 day before. Like, I look back and I go, I don't know how it all came together. It was crazy. I thought like one of us was gonna have to stay behind or we're gonna have to prolong it, but it actually happened. We manifested the exact date. And then the last thing I had to figure out was the business. And we were in a business where it wasn't really growing anymore. It was just kind of sitting and just kind of cruising along, and did some number crunching and kind of figured some stuff out and decided that the smartest thing would be to just walk away and give it to our partner. And a lot of people thought we were crazy, but the thing is if we would have tried to demand a buyout, we would have broke the company and we would have lost a good friend. So we decided that, what, we'll figure something out when we make our way to Costa Rica. And we basically just handed over the company and said, it's yours. And the only thing I asked was that he finish the car payment of the other SUV. And that was that. We were out and on our way to Costa Rica. And the interesting thing is when we were done minimalizing, selling the yard sales, 11 truckloads to Salvation Army, giving things away to friends, family, giving 1 truck away and then giving the other truck back to my partner. We literally had everything down that we owned that you could fit on 1 table. Everything. I mean, we got rid of the boat. We sold that. We got rid of snowboarding equipment. I mean, fitness. I had a gym like in one of the rooms. We had just so much stuff. It's crazy how much stuff you can accumulate in a short period of time. Well, we'll say 6-7 years. And we did it, and we got it minimalized. And if a lot of people I know always go, well, I got to do this, I need to do that. But if you look at what we had going on, that was about as deep as you could get, as rooted as you could get into one place. And that was hard. It was hard, but the crazy thing is after we left Las Vegas, about 6 months later, the real estate market completely crashed. And had we been a little bit more conservative and said, let's sit around for another year and try to get some more equity out of our house, we actually would have ended up probably not being able to make the move, because our house everybody's house that I know lost a good 30-40% of the value in that 6-month period. So that's the story, guys. That's the story of how we basically pulled the trigger and got into the mindset. And I want any of you guys out there that are thinking or have dreams or something that you want to do to think about that. Just make a date, manifest it. The universe, it's crazy. It has a way of basically making things work out when you basically set a deadline and you say that I'm going to make this happen and I'm going to do this at this time no matter what, and nothing is going to stop me, even if I have to give everything away. And I'll tell you what, it was an adventure, and I look back and it was one of the most exciting times that I can remember in my life, was when we minimalized and basically shed everything. I remember thinking and feeling the biggest feeling of freedom that I had ever felt when we basically handed the keys over, and we had literally a box full of stuff. And I basically handed it to my partner and I said, can you put this in your storage? I'll come back for it in a year or two. And he said, no problem, I got you covered. After all, we gave him the whole business, right? And guess what? We are still to this day best friends, and I can go to Vegas anytime I want, and I can stay at my partner's house, and I can drive his cars, and I look back and I go, you know what, that was a good decision. That was the way to do it. And we started a brand new life here in Costa Rica. And that is the story of how we pulled the trigger. So I hope you guys enjoyed this story. I hope it wasn't too long. And any of you guys out there that have a dream, you know, make it happen. If we can do it with 2 kids. Oh, and we also had 2 dogs. I forgot to mention that. And we brought our dogs with us to Costa Rica. They're no longer with us. They passed away a few years ago, but we have their puppies. So the dog family lives on with us as well. Alright guys, that's about it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed story time. And if you like it, I'll come up with some more stuff and tell you some more stories. Until the next video, pura vida and aloha.